Hello, everybody. I'm solo for the minute, but that's okay because I got good people coming to join me. Welcome to our chat, our Thursday afternoon chat. It's a snowy day here in the great state of Utah. It's our first snow of the season, so that's exciting, which is why Dan is running late because he was out building a snowman. So I don't actually know if that's true. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not, but I'm pretending that it is true. So when we meet Dan briefly in the next few minutes, we're going to ask how his building of the snowman was. But today we have super exciting. We have Genevieve from Sweet Harmony Performing Arts Group. She's going to be joining us shortly. And I'm super excited to chat with her because I've learned a lot about her in the last few weeks. I don't know why all of a sudden, like we've started chatting and we've connected more and she's so interesting. You're all going to love her, I promise, because I do. So but I am going to let's bring her in here and see how it. Hi, Genevieve.
Hello, how are you?
So good. It's so good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. So fun.
So we decided when Dan joins, we're just gonna ask him how building the snowman was. We're gonna
Yeah. I think we need to see if his nose is red, if he was really out in the cold or not.
How exciting, because I see that Dan has sent a special guest in his place. Hold on one second, Genevieve. Stay with us.
Okay.
Hi, Jen Tate.
Hello. How are you?
Dan must have texted you and said, I can't get away from building the snowman. Will you join this chat?
Yeah, I kind of sent him to the store because my car needs its oil changed.
Ooh.
So he ran to go get oil and all that stuff. And then he's calling me and he's like, I forgot. No. Yeah.
Well, good. You can join us for our chat.
Okay.
Genevieve, this is Jen Tate, who is our board president's wife. She's
so nice to meet you. So nice to meet you.
Mocha.
Oh, love it.
Okay.
And Genevieve is here. She's with Sweet Harmony Performing Arts Group in Clearfield. Look, now Dan's here.
There he is.
I'm so sorry.
This is the best entrance ever.
They come sprinting down the stairs.
Genevieve's
All right,
like,
I'm turning it over to you.
Okay.
Hi, Jen.
Bye.
Dan, how was building your snowman?
Yeah, right? I actually was thinking about that. We have like a community field that's kind of across the way. I'm like, man, we should go over there one of these days and build a huge snowman.
That sounds fun.
It sounds like a lot of work too.
Yeah,
But only if you stage a scene from Frozen and sing, do you want to build a snowman?
I have kids who can do that.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not Dan. I'll get you a costume if you want to do it. So Genevieve is the executive director now. I know that recently there were some announcements. So like now you got to sort of tell us about who you are at Sweet Harmony.
Sure, yeah. So for those of you who have never heard of Sweet Harmony, which is probably everyone, I am the founder of Sweet Harmony Performing Arts Group, and we've been working in the community for about 10 years. Yes, 10 years exactly. And we mostly work in the homeschool community, and it's been really fun. But I recently stepped aside. I've been acting as the artistic director and sort of the everything, for about 10 years. But as we're growing, we have brought on an amazing fresh young lady named Camberlyn Washburn. She's going to be our artistic director, and I am stepping into the president of the board of governors, and I've just built up a board, and we are building up more committee members. So I guess I'll put that plug out there if people would like to be involved in the arts and not on stage. We always need help.
So this is your 10th year. Almost exactly, I understand. So tell us how it all began. Like, where did it come from? Where did Sweet Harmony begin? Why did you do it? What's the importance that you brought to that mission?
Sure. Well, I grew up as a very, very shy little girl who ended up getting into theater, ended up getting into choir, and those things changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life, and literally saved my life. So the importance of those things has always been in my heart. And then just as a mom, I ended up homeschooling my kids, which was a really weird thing for me to do. I never thought I'd do that. I always thought I'd be the classroom mom that was always helping out the wonderful teachers and with whatever they needed. But our journey took us a different direction. But I wanted my kids to have wonderful experiences in whatever they were interested in. And luckily for me, it turned out they were also interested in choir and theater and dance. And so a bunch of homeschool moms got together and created some experiences for them in choir and theater. And it was very, just homespun and lots of fun. But as we grew, I realized we need some organization, and I would like to license shows and be more professional. And so that's when we founded the nonprofit, and it's just really grown. We were really at a high point right before COVID. And then, as you guys know, I'm sure COVID just took its toll. We are still around. We are producing mini theater, junior theater, high school theater, adult community theater, the choirs. And one thing I'm super excited about is we're doing Pride and Prejudice and also a Jane Austen Regency period ball in February. So I'm on cloud nine. I love this community. I love the opportunities for my own kids. And now as my kids are all old and adults and out of the house, I love to see a new generation.
What's been the hardest part for you about starting this organization?
Ooh, I actually have a list of C's. Which way is that? I don't know. C's.
Yeah.
There, we'll make a heart. Where I noticed all these problems like contention and oh, now that you ask me, I don't have my list ready, but I noticed all these problems in our community. And so I wanted to build Sweet Harmony on the solutions. Let's have communication. Let's have community. Let's not have competition. If we have any competition, it's within our own hearts to be the best that we can. But I really wanted it to be a safe place for kids and adults to be themselves and to be part of a community. So the hardest part is people. But the best part is people, right?
I love that you have a list of C's because you're in Clearfield. So
Yes.
I feel like that was meant to be. So, but I obviously you and I have chatted before. Tell me about you, like your background, like how I read your bio and I know things, and I know Dan did as well. But like what led you to this path, like you yourself?
To theater?
Yeah.
I already mentioned I was super shy as a child, but I remember 2 times from when I was just teeny tiny. These are some of my earliest memories. My aunt is a theater lover, and she took me to some play. I have no idea where it was, but it was Japanese themed, some cultural event, and they had staged someone riding a sea turtle through the waves. And this was just magic to me. I still remember the magic and the awe that I felt. It was just puppets and fabric waves, I'm sure, but it was so magical. And then in first grade, our teacher took us to the back of the cafetorium, the old stage they had there. And we were in this back room and it was all dusty, but she got really serious and quiet. And she said, "Now, when we step out on that stage, I want you to imagine that you are in a totally different world and it's beautiful. And I want you to look around and just create in your mind the most beautiful place you've ever seen." And, I took this to heart. And when I walked out on that stage, it was magic again. And I thought, this is an adult who wants me to pretend. She's going to play along with me and we're going to just create magic. I was sold from that moment on. But being the very, very shy person that I was happy to stay in the background. If we had a play, I was so happy just to be on stage in the chorus. in junior high, my cute friend was singing next to me in choir, and she said, "You have a pretty voice. You should sing louder." And I thought, me? I have a pretty voice? And that has kind of become a theme to my life, is sing louder, because we all have amazing things to say, but we keep it inside sometimes. And so my journey from then on, I just gained a lot more confidence. I did choir, did theater. My junior year, I had to audition and went to the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, which just driving the Los Angeles freeways for an hour both ways, that was an amazing challenge to overcome. My senior year, I went back to my high school. I played piano in jazz band. I was in the musicals. I was in choir. I did a stage manager stint, That's what got me to high school. The only reason I showed up for other classes is because I knew I couldn't go to rehearsal if I hadn't gone to school that day. And I battle depression and anxiety, and theater is what really boosted my confidence and helped me find a place and helped me find a home. So
Do you
that's
worry
where
as
we get.
do you worry as you step away sort of into more of a governance or board roles that you're going to miss some of that?
Well, I think Brandon, how hard it is when you get into the administrative side, and you can get pretty burned out. And sometimes I feel like you're not seen as much, and people maybe don't understand or appreciate all the hours of work and worry. And already, as I have been sort of pulling back a little bit more, I'm loving it, because I get to focus a little bit more on a specific little project instead of worrying about everything in the big picture. Like right now, I'm producing Pride and Prejudice, and my daughter is directing it. And it's very fulfilling to see this new generation come and take their place. And I'm not too worried. I'm happy to stay involved as much as possible and not be stressed all the time.
Or at least change the stress a little bit,
Change
right?
the
I mean,
stress, yes.
because to me that's one of the things. And like, I work full time and have 3 kids and all that kind of stuff, and I tell people frequently that, well, I'm involved at the theater because I need that break, and they're like, but it's so much stress. And I'm like, but it's a different stress. It's not the same thing as trying to nose to the grindstone for 8 hours and work, or more than 8 hours. So, so my question, I'm going to back up just a little bit, because you talked about how it got through high school and it gave you a place, and that's something that really resonates with me, because I grew up thinking with the impression that I had to like sports, and so I did. And you talk about being a choir person, and I always joke around like I was a choir person, but I wasn't good enough to be a really good choir person or singer, and all those types of things. And then theater comes around, and I'm like, it takes a bunch of these unique things about me, and it puts them all together in a way that nothing else does. Sorry, this isn't about me. This is about you. But so my question is, like, sorry,
I want to know about you.
well, maybe another conversation, because most of the people, well, I don't know, some of the people watching already know about me. I'm sorry.
I'll be here with my monster. Everything's fine.
Yep, just keep drinking it. So in what ways specifically did theater or just that finding a place to be or to belong, like, I can appreciate it helping in a moment, but how has that carried you throughout?
Oh, wow. For example, when I was younger, like second grade, I talked like this And I just kind of mumbled and I put my hand in front of my face. And I didn't even realize I was doing it until one very mean teacher snapped and she said, "Take that hand out away from your face and talk to me like a, I don't know, a human." I don't know. But she was mean. But I was very shy and very insecure. So as I went through high school, um, for example, this must have been like 1989. Okay. And I think that Phantom was playing in Los Angeles at that time. And I got to sing a duet of All I Ask of You with a senior boy. And I was a freshman, you know. Ooh, it was exciting. And and it was an all school assembly, you know. And afterwards, so many people came up and they were like, "You sounded even better than the Christine," you know, it. And I'll just choose to believe that, but I'm sure it wasn't true. But you see, it gave me so much confidence that someone saw me and they didn't laugh at me and they gave me this compliment, and it was on something very personal, you know, my singing voice. And every little bit just helped me try more and more and more. And I love in theater how you literally get to like try on different personalities, you know, and you see what you like and what you don't like about other people. This shy little girl played Sally Bowles in Cabaret my senior year and won Best Actress of the Year. And I learned a lot from Miss Sally Bowles. And you take that confidence from the stage into your real life. And that's what I tell the kids I work with all the time. You know, try on these characters, see what things you like, see what things you don't like, and then see who you really are.
Okay, so I have a follow-up to that. Sorry, Dan, I have to ask. So you went to high school and school in California. You played Sally Bowles. You did a lot of things that most people in Utah would probably be like,
Yeah,
you know. So
definitely.
my question is, how has your journey from being involved in that affected how you've run an organization in Utah? Because you know, anyone who runs an organization in Utah knows we can't do like Cabaret. It's hard to do it here. So like how has those experiences made it harder or better here for you in Utah?
Well, it is interesting because I'm in the homeschool community, which is a very traditionally conservative type of place. But I'm from California and I have my own, you know, thoughts and feelings. And anyway, it's funny because I know my California friends think that I'm probably very stodgy and conservative, but my conservative friends think I'm edgy. And you know what? I personally am a person of faith. I love to incorporate that into the things that I'm doing. But what I love to bring to Sweet Harmony is, what's your belief system? How do you get through the day? You know, we like to start with an inspirational thought or a prayer, depending on the person. And I hope that people feel comfortable, whatever faith or just whatever quotation they want, you know, whatever they want to bring to the table. We want to know what you think, what you believe, what gives you strength. And I think that that's really built community, to have people feel like they're okay where they are. I don't think that we have to just do like a specifically religious type of play or performance for people to have a spiritual or a life fulfilling experience. I think you can get that through doing cabaret. You know I did.
So I'm going to back up because Brandon needed to ask his question, but
Sorry.
and it's one of the things that I think is really cool, and it may be a tough question, but I love how you said that you learned a lot from Sally Bowles, because and so two parts to this question, because I think people who aren't actors, who maybe just come to enjoy theater, wouldn't understand that phrase, that I learned a lot from a character that I played, right? Because and for whatever reason. So first, explain what you mean by you learned a lot from Sally Bowles, and second, what character did you learn the most from?
Well, I'm gonna say it definitely was Sally Bowles because that was the biggest stretch. Because like playing Cinderella in Into the Woods, that is a very fun type of role. Sally Bowles, if you do not know the character, in the version that I did anyway, she is a British nightclub singer in Berlin, right at the rise of Hitler's Germany. She lives for the moment. She lives for the fun. And one of the hardest things, and this is a serious topic to bring up, right? She falls in love with Cliff, but then becomes pregnant, and she dreams for a minute, could we settle down? Could we be this little family? And for her, the answer is no. And so she gets an abortion. And, I don't want to take this podcast in a political way, but for me, an 18-year-old LDS girl in California, I had no experience with this, but I, being a good, diligent little actress, really thought about that character and really tried to get into her mind. What would lead her to that conclusion? How is that okay for her? Very serious topics. And it was a very powerful experience, not only because of the Sally Bowles, but because of everything that we talk about with Hitler's World War II Germany. The other characters in there are so powerful and very different from Sally Bowles. We put this show on in the middle of the Rodney King riots. Los Angeles theater closed down, and we continued because we were just far enough out that they didn't think there was going to be a problem. But so it was a really, really powerful experience when you take on a totally different persona. And a lot of the times I think that we get cast, and I know as a director, I will cast kids that already remind me of a certain character because it's just really easy to work with them. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to play someone that was opposite me in many, many ways. And I was able to learn from her and take strength from her, even though I didn't have to be exactly like her.
Yeah, I think that one of the most amazing things about theater is exactly what you're saying, is that you get a chance to learn about other people, other cultures, other belief systems outside of yourself in a usually safe and welcoming environment. And I think this is one of those things that we talk about often, especially those of us that are involved in theater like you, that this is why we do it. This is why it's important, is because it's not about necessarily having the star role. It's about how can we affect our communities and ourselves to be better. And exactly what you experienced with Sally Bowles is that exact thing. Like, you learn so much on the stage. It's absolutely amazing.
You gain a lot of empathy if you'll really put yourself into those characters.
Are there any roles that you haven't played that you like? Do you still have a list of dream roles?
Oh, I do, and I'm too old to play them, and there's just not enough good women's roles out there. I want my daughters to start writing characters for women, even some of the fun characters like the mom in Hairspray. I wish I could play that character, but it's played by a man.
Yeah, you're also talking to two other men that want to play that exact role. So.
Well, best of luck. I hope you get a chance, because that is a sweet role.
Yeah.
But sure, as a girl, I'd love to play Cosette or Eponine or Fantine, or I'd love to play Christine in Phantom of the Opera. I'm pretty old school with some of these shows.
I always say, like, because obviously I think that I'm not a super performer. It's not really my jam, but there are some roles that I'd like to play. But I always think when I get to like the senior center, when I'm old, and the only options are old people, I'm going to be able to play Tarzan, and I'm going to be able to play whatever I want.
That's great.
How has the community theater scene changed since you opened Sweet Harmony 10 years ago? What have you experienced from your point of view?
Well, I noticed that there have been a lot more homeschool programs crop up. And that's fantastic because we were bursting at the seams, and people want opportunities to perform. And you can't have, 5 lead roles and 100 kids in the chorus. It's frustrating. So I'm glad that there are more homeschool programs. I'm glad there are after school programs. I'm glad that the schools have wonderful programs, because people benefit from theater. Theater is therapy. Theater is fun. That's one thing I've noticed that has changed. The other thing that has literally, I've watched these kids grow up. Now that I've been in it for 10 years, those 8, 9, 10-year-olds are old, they're married, they're off at college. Some are even married. Some have children. It's amazing. We actually have the next generation of little nieces and nephews starting in the choir of the kids that are old, and they don't have kids yet, but it's their brothers and sisters too.
Dan, you're up.
I'm
You're
up.
muted. Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay, so to me, one of the things that I hear as somebody that's in theater, and I think it's important to shed some light for anybody who isn't. And you kind of touched on this, the amount of work that gets put into, and you were specifically talking about running a theater, but would you share what kind of time, effort, and money goes into just producing a single show?
Good luck. I say good luck to this question.
Right?
Good luck.
How much time do we have left? I mean, I'm trying to share the love, share the stress, because Brandon knows, when you're running a whole big organization and you've got choir and multiple shows going on and fundraising events, there's no end. There is no end. I start to check off my checklist, and then a whole other crop pops up from that. And yet there are moments when I was artistic directing everything where I would stay up late at night programming the choir, wanting to get every song just right. And we've got a nice upbeat one now, so now we'll go into our soft one, and then we'll ramp back up again. I was involved in every little detail. I love it all. So I love the costuming, I love the props. Our shows, the most recent shows we just finished are Beauty and the Beast. That was our teen show. And our juniors did The Jungle Book. Sorry, I had to think because I'm on to the next shows already. They each ran us, the cost was about $11,000. And I think that's actually really cheap. I think people are surprised, though, why we're always asking for more money and why we have to sell tickets, but it is expensive, and we barely cleared that. I don't know.
I think that's why it's important to get it out there, because I've heard, just being involved as much as I have, I've heard so many people say, well, I mean, you sell tickets. What else do you like?
Yeah.
Come on. But it's really difficult, I think, for people who aren't involved to understand that it's not like we just throw a bunch of people together 10 minutes before the show and say, let's do it.
It's amazing how fast it adds up. And we are very lucky too, because a lot of the shows are in the homeschool community. A lot of the moms are happy to just work for tuition, so they'll do a trade. And so it's not like we're making a lot of money off of this. It cost $11,000 just to put up the sets and the costumes and the licensing and the venues and the rehearsal space. So we've been doing a lot of plugs for every little bit we can get. Amazon Smiles, Smith's Inspiring Donations. Anyway, you guys know how it goes.
Yep.
And I'm so grateful for every kid that pays their tuition on time, and their grandma buys a ticket to the show. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we reach the end here, the question we like to always end with is, what does community matters mean to you?
Oh man. It means that we're all in this together. Yes, I have directed High School Musical. Um, but I love that you do this. I thank you for inviting me on the show. I appreciate everything that you do for the community. Adults need it, children need it, we all need it. And like one of our C's, we're trying to have community and not competition.
Totally agree with that. I think that one of the things that we as artists and theater people need to really work on is that we're stronger together. We're not an island. Like, we need to be together, and we can accomplish more and do more together than we can trying to compete against each other. So we agree on that for sure.
Right. Well, and along those same lines, like theater's important. It doesn't, and as much as as any one of the individual theaters would like to say that only theater at our theater is important, that's just not the case. Theater's important no matter where. And if anybody can learn, like, sorry, and I know we're supposed to be wrapping up. I get it. But, Genevieve, you've talked a lot about learning and that through theater and through acting, and I think through viewing theater, you can learn empathy. And that's one of the things that a lot of shows, like, if you see a show, pay attention, because there's a lesson there. And you can learn from watching theater. And it doesn't matter where you see that happening, you can learn those lessons.
Genevieve, I think you are pure joy. I love you so much. And I really appreciate you joining us for this chat. And I will, of course, see you soon, because you're amazing.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Okay. See you guys soon. Oh, there we go. I hit the wrong button. It was my fault. Dan Tate, that was a good chat. I love talking about theater, first of all, but Genevieve brings such a perspective to it that I think is so amazing. One of the things about her that has always been so interesting to me about her is her background from California, and like she was saying, playing Sally Bowles, and then coming to Davis County and running a homeschool program. And I'm amazed and so thankful for her work in that, because I think it's needed, and the empathy that people are learning from exactly what she's saying is that just because you don't agree with the character doesn't mean the character is invalid is amazing. I just think it's absolutely amazing. So
yep, I agree. And you talk about it in theater, we talk about character arcs all the time, and Genevieve has a great arc,
right?
Like I know people who are involved with theater who, and myself being one of those people who, I kind of messed around with it, but to have somebody who is passionate at such a young age, and to carry it all the way through to where she is now is really inspiring and wonderful to hear.
I can't wait for the show about Genevieve to come out. We'll call it Gen-Avive. It's 2 words. I don't know. I'm still workshopping the title. I don't really know.
Okay, well, that's good. Keep workshopping.
All right, Dan Tate, guess who our guest is next week?
I don't know.
It's you and me. It's going to be our time to learn about each other, because we always talk about everyone else and no one's ever gotten to know us. So we're interviewing each other.
That's exciting.
Prepare yourself.
I'm a little bit worried now, if I'm being honest.
I will win. All right. So yeah, join us next week. Thanks again to Genevieve. You can get more information. It's also posted in the comment, but you can get more information about Sweet Harmony Performing Arts at sweetharmonyperformingarts.org. And as we always say here, please go and support theater. Go support the arts, whether it's here at OPA or anywhere like Sweet Harmony. The arts matter. They're so important. Go support the arts and go see live shows. So that's that. Speaking of live show, I got to go do one right now at the high school.
Fun for you.
So I'll see you all next week. Bye. Yep. Oh, we have to keep smiling.